without further ado, because the point here, I'm just moderating the dialogue, is for you to be able to ask questions to Professor Kokkoris and also to get to know him better and continue to contribute to the life of CCLS. Let me ask you, Ioannis, if you can tell the alumni that are joining us a little bit about your background and also your time at Queen Mary in the run-up to your new current role.
Thank you very much, Rosa, and thanks to Celia, Catherine, and Joy for putting this event together. Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening to the different time zones we have. It's actually a great pleasure because I can actually see faces that I remember from teaching them. So I will not say who you are, you know who you are, but I'm very, very happy to see you because it's really refreshing to, you haven't changed, I can give you that, you haven't changed. You look exactly as you did back then. I will also not state which year you were with me when I was teaching you, but it's great to actually see you all. So Rosa, thank you for the introduction. I've been at Queen Mary for the last 8 years now. I joined back in 2014. And before that, I spent 4 years at the University of Reading in UK. And prior to starting my full-time academic career, although I was always a kind of a part-time academic, I was working for 8 years for the European Commission, Federal Trade Commission in the US, and the UK Office of Fair Trading. So I've lived in London most of my life, actually. I've lived in Brussels, I've lived in Washington, but I'm back now in London. I've been back in London now for many years, actually following a full-time academic career, and at Queen Mary for the last 8 years of them. In the last 3 years, prior to actually assuming this role, I was also the Dean for International for the faculty, which gave me, on the one hand, the opportunity to have a wide international perspective of the strength and the quality of CCLS and Queen Mary across the globe, but also the opportunity to really appreciate the value that our alumni have in the longevity of an institution and the success of an institution. So I'm very, very pleased to actually be here now with you today. Rosa, you're on mute.
Thank you very much, Ioannis. Before we wait for people to start asking questions, as moderator of this dialogue with you, let me also ask you the next question. And that is, in your new role, to which we all at the staff at CCLS are delighted to have you guide us through these turbulent times. We never thought we were going to have such turbulent times. We have the global financial crisis, then we had COVID, and now we have, a further geopolitical crisis as well as cost of living. But, at CCLS, we impart education and formation that helps people to navigate this crisis. That's also part of what we do. But tell us, what are your plans for CCLS in your new role as CCLS Director?
Well, thanks, Rosa. Well, I've been in the post for the last 2 months, and as Rosa, as you said, we've been through a very turbulent times on personal level for a number of us, but also on a professional level, and from an actual day-to-day practical point of view, we've actually seen quite a difference in the way we approached our day-to-day life in the last two years or so. But what has not changed in these 2 years, and what has not changed actually since the previous crisis that you mentioned, Rosa, since the financial crisis, what has not changed actually over the last 40 years, 42 years now of CCLS, is our focus to maintain our research-led teaching and ensure that when we are engaging with our students, when we're engaging with our research, when we're engaging with our professional practice world, with the industry, with the governments, that we're trying to actually stay on top of the developments. So it is important for CCLS, it's important for all of us to actually stay abreast, and I know that we do that, to stay abreast of developments in our own separate fields, because we have changes in economies around us, we have changes in countries around us, and it's important for CCLS to be at the forefront of this dialogue of what is happening out there and be at the forefront of trying to inform what will happen when it comes to policy making of governments, when it comes to the way corporations, the way society actually works. Now, we have a very strong research ethos. We have a very, very strong scholarship ethos, and we are leaders in our engagement with professional practice. And these are three core areas that we should aim to actually maintain and we should actually aim to enhance. Just a few examples of how have we adapted or how we may have to adapt going forward. So there is, for example, within CCLS, we are discussing areas such as AI, such as metaverse, which are, of course, new jargon in our day-to-day lives, but these are the type of areas that are still not really fully developed yet. So we want to be actually informing these types of developments. Part of the work we do also relates to actually translating our research into policy impact. And this comes to working with the industry, working with governments, trying to actually help, contribute, learn from other stakeholders, work together with them on trying to actually make a change for the wider society as a whole. And of course, all of you here today, you are important in this journey because you are on the ground for us, you are ambassadors. So our alumni are ambassadors to actually tell us what is important in their own country from their own perspective. Are we missing something? Is there a development in a particular region of the world that we are not so well yet addressing? Should we go about addressing it? So all of you, we are dependent on all of you to actually tell us what you think we should also be doing as a leading law school in UK, Europe, and globally. We have our campus in Paris. We plan to actually enhance our offerings in Paris. Europe, France, Europe for us is important as is every other country in the world, but we need to enhance our campus in Paris with more programs, more offerings, and more variety of experience for our students. And we are working closely with our French and European partners to that effect. So if I can just summarize what would be my aims for our school, which of course will be discussed within colleagues within the school, is to maintain what we have been for the last 42 years, a center for thought leadership, teaching excellence, and translation of our research in policy. And we would like, as a whole, to actually maintain and continue on that trajectory. It's really important for all of us to sustain this leading trajectory for CCLS.
Thank you very much for guiding us into what should continue to be the future, which very much links with the way that Sir Roy Good, when he set up the center in 1980,
Rosa,
academia and practice would be brought together. You cannot hear me?
We lost you for a few seconds, but you're back now, so it's all good.
Okay. Now I was just saying that thank you very much for offering those thoughts, which are very much in line, I was saying, with the tradition of CCLS since it was founded in 1980. When Sir Roy Good founded the center, the idea was to bring academia and practice together, to create an environment where practicing commercial lawyers and those from working in the policy world at different levels, national, regional, international, would meet in academia, in this case at our CCLS, and exchange ideas. So it's very good to see that under your leadership, which started in the summer, this vision will continue to yield fruit and bring different perspectives. And these groups that we're having today of alumni from around the world just shows very much how you can undertake a very rigorous academic undertaking, mixed with industry, mixed with the policy world, mixed with the world of practicing commercial lawyers. So I think people are still a little bit shy to ask questions, but You don't need to put it in the chat. So before I continue asking the next question myself, is there anyone who wants to raise your hand and ask a question? Otherwise, I will continue this. Okay, Valentina.
Can I just, Valentina, sorry, just, I don't see anybody drinking any coffee or tea or having any croissants. I'm having coffee here. Okay, because I'm the only one who's actually doing part of what we're supposed to do. Is just
I was going to bring croissants, but I didn't have time to get them. I was going to show
I have to say, I don't have croissants. I had some.
So it's a virtual croissant.
I had some Greek biscuits I had brought from Athens last time I went there. So I was actually having some biscuits. I don't have croissants either, but we should be having it over croissants and coffee or any other sweet they want to.
This one is not even COVID. This time is the tube strike in London. So
yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
we can have a physical. So we have Valentina and then Nora. Valentina.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for organizing this. Thank you, Professor Kokkoris, for your introduction. No, I don't have a real question. I just want to say that I really agree with all you said, and especially I want to say something because I've been a student of IPLLM in 2020, so very strange time. But anyways, I decided to go to London because it was my dream since I was 22, and I take my LLM when I was 29. So really, I waited for this moment for a lifetime, and it worth it really. But of course, it was a very, very strange time to go abroad, and actually, I think that it's very important, especially for people that had the same experience I had, to get involved and to have this network and the occasion to be up to date with all the developments in our field, as you said. Also after the actual year that we attended the Queen Mary, because it was really, really tough. Everyone in Queen Mary did a wonderful job, especially the professor, because everything was online. I barely went to 10 classes all year long. But anyways, it was a great experience. But the thing is, I really believe that we are in excellence and we should really keep on being in contact and develop our personal and professional network, especially if we didn't have the occasion to do it properly as I did. And, you know, when there are, I don't know, events, even in London, like it would be nice to know it in advance and to have the possibility to join, because nowadays we have the possibility to work remotely. So maybe we can organize ourselves and fly to London, have I don't know, have a get together with professors, with our former classmates. And I think this is very important. This is also the reason why, Celia, maybe you remember, like I really insisted also on being part of the CCLS Italian chapter alumni, because, for example, there was a conference in Rome and I didn't know anything about it until I saw the advertisement on Duncan's page, which is not, and I think it's a pity because from our perspective, this was also an investment we did, as you can understand. So it's very important to stay in touch and to have this kind of network. So I really agreed with all that you said before, and I really hope that there will be many occasions to stay in touch. So thank you for the effort.
Thank you, Valentina. I mean, what you're saying is very relevant, you know, because as a community that we are of with our students, our staff, and our alumni, we want to continue to be relevant in your life. And what you said is very important. And indeed, the years of the pandemic were particularly challenging for us all. But there is always a silver lining. The silver lining is that we have learned that we can communicate as a second best, but there's still an opportunity to communicate online and to continue to have events. And Celia, who is a fantastic CCLS alumni coordinator, I can only say, but thank you, Celia, for all that she does. She will continue to make sure that you get notice. I constantly say, Celia, events that I organize and others organize. So make sure that you get notice, so that, because some of them can be attended these days online. So like you said, you know, in the same way as you can work remotely, you can also attend the conference on a hybrid basis from wherever you're. And of course, if something is done in your jurisdiction, like in Roma, we will make sure that, through the alumni chapters and our links, we can continue to be relevant. So stay alert for all our communications. Nora, I'm so glad that you are also joining us. Thank you. And please ask our wonderful director.
Thank you, Rosa, and good morning, everybody. I agree, actually, just to echo what Valentina said. Obviously, the COVID was a bit of a shock. I think that I do have to say we probably all worked twice as hard as a result because we had to have the split sessions. But my question relates to now that we're coming out. Just as an example, I've recorded all of my classes so far for the first part, so block A of this semester. I just want to know going forward, will we continue to do that? I just wasn't sure. I've heard different approaches to recordings. I know that the push is to have all classes in person, but also to record. I just wanted to know moving forward what's going to happen.
There were, over the summer, there was a policy document which came from the Office for Students to all universities, which suggested that we should all go back to face-to-face education, which is what we have all done. Having said that, there's still, of course, very likely that some students may not be able to attend some lectures because of health reasons, because of a tube strike, for example, as is today. So we are still asked to record lectures in order to allow students who cannot attend for objective reasons to be able to actually follow these lectures. But there's no plan to go back to the type of online delivery as we had during COVID. We are all back face-to-face, engaging with all students face-to-face.
Thank you very much. Do you want to ask anything else, Nora? Okay, we have a question in the chat and a question in person from Anna. First Anna, and then the question in the chat I will read because the student Alexis says that he's in a work environment, so he'd rather write the question in the chat. But Anna, you can ask your question first, please.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Thank you so much for organizing. This is such a wonderful event to see everyone. So I'm one of the very, very old students, so to say. I did my LLM in 2002. I was not with Professor Kokkoris, but I was with you, Rosa, in emerging economies. But I think you had to go your fourth or fifth baby. So it was very, very long time ago. But it was really, really wonderful, and I really enjoyed London. And at the time there was no COVID, and it was intercollegiate actually. At the time, I was the last year of intercollegiate scheme, so it was really wonderful to meet also students from other colleges as well. So thank you, Ioannis, for this vision. This is something that I'm an academic at the moment in Cambridge, and what I'm really interested in is so what is particularly the vision of the role of the alumni, and what I'm also particularly interested is will there be any possibilities in maybe taking part in some of your projects, and especially the projects with industry and with practice. For example, I don't know, the arbitration school had this research with a couple of years ago, and I think there are many projects like that. So I just really wanted to see, is there any vision of our potential involvement, or can we come with some of our ideas? So how can we build relationship there?
Thanks, Anna. I think the fact that we're all here today, the fact that we have in our school Celia, Catherine, Zoe, who are our alumni team, we have Rosa as our academic director. We will be joined for the afternoon session by Francisca, who's our academic deputy director for alumni. All of this shows that alumni is very important to CCLS. And all of the events that we have organized over the years, whether it's virtual like this one, whether it is in person. So we were, for example, colleagues were in Chile 2 weeks ago. They were in Egypt last week. I will be in France in 2 weeks, then US in the new year. So colleagues, CCLS as a whole is represented in many different jurisdictions throughout the year for different types of events. And in most of these events, we always try to actually see our alumni, and we will try to see our alumni every chance we get when we're somewhere abroad. All of this shows that for us, our alumni is as important as is our students, for example. So the fact that you are now an alumnus, that you left CCLS, you mentioned 2002, so I would assume 2003. So you are an alumnus for 19 years now. You are as important now, or even more important, I would say, as you were then. Because now you have actually also the experience to tell us what we can do better and what we can do more of. So just to give a few examples of how we can work together with alumni and what we have done. So we have alumni chapters in 28 different countries throughout the globe. And these chapters are very active in actually organizing events, panel events, or other types of activities in different countries. I see Valentina from the Italian chapter actually nodding on this, and I'm very, very happy for that. So we actually have chapters in a number of countries throughout the globe. And this, the alumni who are actually leading and contributing to these chapters are actually really engaged with the community, with the alumni community, because as I said before, you are our ambassadors in your own countries. Then we have alumni who have volunteered, and we are very grateful for that, to actually be mentors. So we have a mentoring scheme, and we have alumni, again, in different countries who are playing the role of mentors, because if we can all remember when we finished our postgraduate education and we went back to our own country, or we stayed where we were for work, the ability to talk to, the opportunity to talk to somebody who has been there, has done that, and it's probably 5 years down the line, or 10 or 15, because every point, every different career point has a different value to add to a new postgraduate student. The opportunity to actually talk to someone over a coffee and get some advice on how did you go about contacting an employer for a job? What were the selling the USPs you portrayed to them? How did the interview go? All of these type of aspects, we can all remember from our own times when we were just graduating, are really, really important. We can take them now for granted, but back then they were probably the most important stressful aspect after having just finished our postgraduate education. So volunteering to be mentors in your own jurisdictions, I think, would be a great opportunity for you to contribute to the alumni environment we have, to our alumni network, and we would really, really welcome that. We also have alumni who are contributing to career events. So they are actually happy to contribute to various career talks we're organizing. We organize them in person in UK, but we also organize them in different jurisdictions or virtually. So to the extent that alumni would be happy to contribute to career talks, that would be also very, very welcome, and we would really appreciate it. Anna, you mentioned contributing to academic activities as a fellow academic. Yes, we would very much actually welcome the possibility to work with fellow academics on different activities. We work with other academics anyway as part of our standard practice. So we very much like to work with our own alumni who are academic partners in either in UK or in other countries. When I was in my role as the Dean for International for the faculty, I've been to different countries before COVID, and in a number of these countries, the meetings that were the most productive with academic partners, the meetings that you felt most welcome, and you actually left that meeting with a tangible action list that you knew is going to materialize into something. 9 out of 10 cases were ones that the initial link there was an alumnus, because that alumnus had, in a way, the fire inside them to make this collaboration work. And I have to say, I've been in other countries, in other meetings that were not generated through an alumnus. And majority of times, I will go every 6 months or every year. I will be probably sitting in the same very, very nice room, having the same very, very nice drink or very nice lunch. But the discussion will be a deja vu type experience. Because every 6 months we will be saying, oh yes, we should do that, we should do that. Yeah, we should actually also do that. And then we do nothing. But the links which were created through the alumni network actually were solid. So being an academic, we would very much like to work with you in the different issues we have within CCLS. A final contribution that alumni could do, and I was thinking about it this morning. I don't know if you remember from your time in UK. Did you watch? There was a Tesco advert. Every little counts. It was stuck in my mind. You see how some taglines actually stay in your mind, and how advertisement and marketing actually is a really good science. So when I was Googling it this morning to actually find exactly to appropriately give credit to the source of it, I realized that there is a song by a band which I have to look at the name, because I did not know that band. You may know that band. The band is called A New Order, and that band released a song in 1986 called Every Little Counts. Now Tesco has it, Every Little Helps. I assume there's some copyright issues there, but let's not go into that. I'm not a copyright lawyer. But the band is called Every Little Counts. And that is, if you wish, my last request of all our alumni, that anything you do will count towards what we want to do. We also have held last year a very successful fundraising day, and we are actually now hosting on 29th of November. We are hosting our new fundraising activity, which is the Giving Tuesday fundraising activity. It is a national fundraising day for the UK, and everyone can actually contribute to their own institution they would like, any institution they would like to. So we will actually also be launching a campaign, and every little counts. That is what I would like you to keep in mind. And it's not just about monetary contribution, it is about any kind of contribution. Anything you can do, it will help us. It will help us, it will help the future students, it would have helped yourselves 5, 10, 15, 19 years ago. So what you think would have benefited you when you graduated, this is what you can do to help our students now. I will leave it here. Celia, is there anything else we should say about the Giving Tuesday at this point?
I think just the fact that really that we'll start promoting it and giving the community some information about it as of next Tuesday, because that'll be 3 weeks beforehand. But we'll be sending out some mailings. But essentially, it gives the CCLS community an opportunity to support our 2 main funds, which are the Roy Good Scholarship Fund and the new Bursary Fund. So as Ioannis says, any little help. So, you know, if we can encourage the community to participate and get involved, that'd be really great. But we'll be sending communications out via email and also on our social media handles.
Yeah. Just to say, I participated in the last one because I know how difficult it was for me to gather the funds. So I supported the future students as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. And it's great to also get endorsements from our community as well to help encourage others.
Yes, so thank you very much, Anna, for that question. And you're right. In 2002, when you were at CCLS, I had my 4th child, and my 4th child is, and the last one is my daughter, and she's now 20. So it seems really like a long time ago from the time my daughter Anna was a baby. And when Ioannis was saying every little count and he was doing his research, I was thinking that maybe the author of that song was a CCLS alumni, but even though we reach out a lot, we still don't reach out to the music industry, at least not in that regard, though we do in other regards. We have a question which I'm going to read here from Alexis in the chat, and then I can see a hand raised, and that will be our next question. Alexis writes, all the best in your new role, Ioannis, and apologies for not turning my mic as I'm in a work environment. What is your vision for CCLS 5-10 years down the road?
Alexis, thank you. So 5-10 years, as we all know by now, is quite a long time. So what we the way I'm thinking of the next 5-10 years to CCLS is what should CCLS achieve in the short term, mid-term, long term. So if I start with the short term, what are our immediate needs as CCLS? And of course, this is part of an ongoing discussion with all colleagues in the school. Our immediate needs is to actually make sure we have a full roster of all the academic and professional services colleagues positions that we do not have just yet, because we have a number of posts that we are actually in the process of filling. So just to give you an example, we advertised for 3 new lectureships and senior lectureships over the summer. We're advertising again for 3 in this first term, and we'll be advertising for 3 more positions in the next starting of 2023. So if we have the same type of meeting in a year from now, our academic and professional services colleagues will actually be increased. The number will be increased probably by between 6 to 10 new colleagues joining. So that in itself is actually an important growth in one go for CCLS. Now, I cannot personally take credit for that, because this is the legacy of Ian Walden, the previous director, that I'm just carrying forward, that now we're actually in the process of filling these positions. But in between now and next year, we will be joined by new colleagues in new areas of research and in existing areas of research to strengthen our research and our teaching and our scholarship and professional practice agenda. Unfortunately, we had the sad passing of one of our very, very loved colleagues, Daniel Ben, and one of also the priorities will be to commemorate his Daniel's life, Daniel's work, and this is also something which we're in the process of actually discussing and deciding in the short term. When it comes to the midterm, there are areas of research that we have not, either we have not yet tapped into, and research and practice and teaching that goes in one as a whole, or that we had expertise, but because of colleagues moving on to a different career paths, we don't have that expertise anymore, and we need to actually adopt that expertise. So to give you an example, we had colleagues who were teaching on international economic law. Some of these colleagues left. So now we will have a new research focus, along with all our other research areas, on trade and international economic law. Because post-Brexit, UK and trade relations of UK with other countries are becoming very important. So we will actually need to be at the forefront of this thinking and this development. So tapping into and enhancing our expertise in these types of areas that either we had expertise, but some of our colleagues left, so we need to actually ensure we have more colleagues in that area of law, or tapping into new areas of law and practice, like the ones I mentioned in my introductory remarks. That is also part of what we would be doing in the next 3 to 4 years from now. Now, in parallel with all of this, CCLS is a live organism. The day-to-day life is very different than what would be if we take snapshots out of a specific week or every 6 months in the year. So this is a live organism. So again, we will be adapting to the requirements, to the changes around us. If, for example, touch wood, we go back into a type of a pandemic situation, we will need to actually adapt to that. If we face an economic crisis in the UK, as some pessimists are actually advocating, we will have to actually adapt to how can we actually work based on an economy which is now not as welcoming as before. So we will need to adapt the way we are potentially operating, as we have done in the past. Going from the midterm to long term, CCLS right now, as you will all remember from your times, we are based in Holborn, and we're actually, every year we have between 800 and 900 LLM students. If we incorporate all our postgraduate students, every year we have more than 1,000 students. We are looking into new premises. So we are looking into moving again in central London in new premises, which will be more tailor-made to the students' needs. And that, of course, is in parallel to the focus of all of us in maintaining our individual and our collective research and teaching strengths in our own separate areas. So if you come to London in 7 years from now, earlier, but because you asked from 5 to 10, I'm going for the middle point there. If you come to London, let's say in 7 years from now or earlier, you will probably see us in a totally new building in central London, because we will actually have outgrown where we are. Our success has outgrown where we are. So now we need to actually expand. When it comes to the CCLS strategy on research, teaching, and professional practice, this is not an institutional strategy. This is not something that can be decided from a top-down perspective. This is something that is organic. This is something that is determined through the colleagues' research interests, research ideas. And I'm very grateful and I'm very lucky because I'm surrounded by colleagues who have many great ideas. So I'm sure our research strength will actually continue to be as it has been so far. And this goes together with our teaching and our scholarship, because different when probably Anna was here. Anna, I don't know how many modules you had in your year when you were in 2003, but now we are offering 250 modules. So now we are offering.
Yeah, I had more, but I was intercollegiate, so which means that I could access
actually mix and match
colleges. But after that, this changed.
I think.
Yes, at that time we had the intercollegiate, I remember, and obviously students could take courses from different colleges, UCL, Queen Mary, LSE, King's, and so at that time you could basically go around the different colleges. But from the time we have been independent as an institution, we have increased the number of offerings to the extent that now we have probably the richest, if not one of the richest offerings as a single school offering an LLM program in the UK and probably around the world, one of the LLM dedicated institutions. And so, but yes, I remember also the intercollegiate.
But right now,
let me see if I pronounce. Sorry.
250 modules. So we're actually having so many modules that we cover every single area. I'm exaggerating. We cover most areas of legal practice. And this is something which we will continue to do and adapt as developments change. So if I can conclude in one sentence, because I can talk about it for the next hour and I must not. In one sentence, there is nothing dramatically different in the next 5 to 10 years compared to the last 42 years. Why? Because we have been excellent in research, in teaching, and in actually engaging with the industry. We need to make sure we are up to speed with what's happening. We need to improve in some areas our engagement with industry, for example. But there is not going to be a massive difference because we are very good as we are. And the enemy of, what is the phrase in English? The enemy of the good is all, the enemy of the perfect is always good, or vice versa. There's a phrase of this type in English, I think. But we're always trying for perfection, and that is what we will continue doing.
Thank you very much, Ioannis. Now see if I can pronounce your name correctly. Chukubike, you have a question for Ioannis.
You got it perfectly, Rosa.
I was talking for so long, Rosa. In the last question, you had time to actually make sure you can pronounce it correctly.
You know what I did? I asked him, how do you pronounce your name? I didn't want to embarrass myself.
You got it perfectly, Rosa. You got it very perfectly. So thank you. And thanks for moderating this. Thank you, Ioannis, also. It's so good to see you again. And thanks also for keeping in touch and finding time to reply to my emails. So I have a very short comment and then a quick question also. So I just wanted to say, my name is Chukwubuike. You got it correct, Rosa. I'm dialing in from Abuja, Nigeria. I was in CCLS 2016, 2017, and it's continued to be a very defining point in my career. So thanks to all of the CCLS team and obviously the wider Queen Mary community. You are doing very fantastic work. I can assure you of that. And hopefully, like Ioannis had mentioned, we as your ambassadors now will continue to carry that brand forward. So that's the quick comment. The question I have is one, would it be possible or is there an existing arrangement where you could have some form of exchange program with a Nigerian university, not necessarily physical, but you could have virtual arrangements where some Nigerian undergraduates, I'm working with a Nigerian university on a part-time basis. I'm practicing law full-time, but occasionally I try to spend time in the classroom to give a bit of the benefit of our practical experience for the theory they are learning. So could there be some arrangement for the virtual exchange where some Nigerian students perhaps could have access for a week, 2 weeks, 1 month to some of the teaching sessions or some other any kind of sessions with Queen Mary and just participate for that period. And I understand in today's world, I mean, nobody is quick to jump on a plane or travel around so fast these days. So, and thankfully we've got technology to deal with all of that. Are those things that can be arranged? And maybe we will get all the answers in this meeting if I can just get a quick confirmation and then maybe follow up with the team later on the details of it, the logistics of it. That's one. Then secondly, again, the final comment, I'm hoping I'm able to come back to still do my PhD. I really, really want to do that. But in today's environment where you are more concerned about economic problems and cost of living, some of your more ideal plans tend to take the back seats. Nobody wants to go back to research and reading when you're struggling to pay your bills. But I'm hoping I can get that opportunity again soon to come back. I would love it. It would be a very big pleasure to do that in Queen Mary and in CCLS. So there, thank you.
Okay, Ioannis.
Thank you, Chukwubuike. And before I answer, let me thank Nora for actually correcting me. After 24 years in UK, I still cannot learn a number of things and I get corrected. So Nora, thank you. I will make a note of this so I can learn how to say it next time around. So going back to your question on the opportunity to undergraduate students to actually attend our lectures. This is definitely something we can actually see how we can do it. I will bring you in touch with Rodrigo Olivares Camnal, who I believe he may have been teaching you when you were here, because he's our director of international. So we need to understand a bit more of the practicalities of it, but in principle, very happy to actually consider some of the undergraduate students in certain institutions tapping into for a short period of time just to virtually attend, because they have to be virtually attendance, some of the modules. This has some technical requirements, as you realize, because it will have to be sessions which will be delivered in a hybrid fashion. This is something we can definitely actually see how we can do it. I've actually been, I think I must have told you, I've actually been to Nigeria a couple of times in the past, and I've met a number of institutions there as well. So very happy to actually bring in touch with Rodrigo and see how we can offer this type of opportunity. It can be during a standard type module, or it can be during a type of a summer school. We'll see how we can actually do that. Did I forget to answer the question? I usually do that. No, okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, there is a question by Bali. Bali, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, hello everybody. Very pleased to meet you. I'm a long-time alumnus. And I would like to ask Ioannis if the center is thinking of expanding in, I think you mentioned something about France. I didn't know about it. Well, you have a center there. And if you're thinking of expanding in other European cities as well, because as a center of commercial studies, it's something practical. It's not only theoretical research. So it would be great if you could cooperate with local universities in other countries.
You're definitely right. It is commercial studies is a practical application of all legal areas. We have a campus in Paris. We have a very strong collaboration in Singapore as well as CCLS. Now, Queen Mary also has a campus in Malta when it comes to Europe. And Queen Mary also has a big campus in China. So to come back to CCLS and whether CCLS will be expanding in the same fashion we have done Paris. In Paris, we actually have premises there. So we actually deliver our own programs in Paris by going to Paris. So Rosa, Nora, myself, other academic colleagues will frequently go to Paris to deliver our LLM teaching there for the Paris campus. Reproducing or replicating another campus like we have in Paris in another European city at this point is not in the immediate plans, because our focus right now is to make sure that we can solidify and enhance our Paris campus as a campus. But working together with other European institutions in partnership to potentially deliver programs there, this is something we have considered in the past. We have started to do with some partners in Europe, but also in the US and elsewhere. And it is something we would very much like to continue doing, but this will not be replicating our Paris campus, as in having our own premises in Paris, in another city. This will be in collaboration, in close collaboration with an academic partner in a European city to actually offer a program together. This is something that we would very much like to consider and discuss further. And this is something that we are discussing. So for example, next week, no, in 2 weeks from now, the Greek Minister for Education is coming to London, and I will be meeting her to discuss potential opportunities for collaboration with some Greek institutions. I met last week the Dutch Minister for Education. So we are looking into working closely with other institutions in other countries, not just in Europe, across the board.
Okay, thank you very much. And I put in the chat, Vali, your very stellar career. You were part of us, but you have also had a stellar career elsewhere. So thank you very much for joining us today. And we hope that you and all the others that are joining will continue to contribute whichever year you were at CCLS, as I can only echo this saying of every little counts or every little helps, which Ioannis said, and which can be a token of what it means to be alumni of the institution, whatever you can do. And it's not just money in terms of time, in terms of activities, in terms of support, in terms of feeling, being proud of the alma mater that CCLS and Queen Mary is. We very much appreciate. I'll ask you, Ioannis, one more question. Maybe someone else here in the chat would like to ask a question. But if it's in terms, there have been different questions about the future and about how we are moving and navigating post-pandemic in our teaching. That obviously has also affected the where students come from to some extent. So can you share with us any trends regarding student numbers, and also where students come from, and how can alumni help, those jurisdictions that perhaps are less represented today and used to be more represented in the past? Thank you.
Thanks, Rosa. We are lucky in the sense that because we have a large student body, the student body represents many countries around the world. I think every year, I would risk saying, but I'm sure there is data there to confirm, I will not be very wrong in that we have more than 100 nationalities represented in the 800 or 900 students. We may fall below some years, we may go a bit above some other years, but we are actually lucky to have so many different nationalities represented within the student body. And we are lucky both from a student experience perspective, because you get to see, you get to meet students from all other places in the world. We are lucky because we get to learn from you, from the students, what is the specific legal regime and legal particularities on a specific area of law in your own jurisdiction. So if we look at trends, we have had, because of Brexit, as it is, I think, the case across UK academia, this is at least what a recent report, which was published last week by the Universities UK, is saying, that across the UK academia, post-Brexit, there has been a drop in our numbers from European students. So we always had a strong cohort of home students, UK. We always had a strong cohort of European students. We always had a strong cohort of international students. In the last year or so, what we have seen is the European cohort to be less evident than it used to be before. So one of our priorities, for example, is to make sure we maintain our diversity by enhancing as much as we can the European representation within the student body. And that is not to say that other countries, of course, are not as important, but we want to be able to offer the same type of diversity as we have always done. So is there any trends that can be observed? The only identifiable trend post-Brexit across UK academia is a drop in our European students who are actually coming to London. And this also, for us, this also explains our focus on our Paris campus, because we want to have our Paris campus as potentially our hub for European students who may not want to actually come to London for visa or any other reasons. So that's one identifiable trend. Year on year, there have been some countries which are in the top 10. Some countries go into the top 10, some countries fall out of the top 10. But year on year, the top 10 countries will not usually change. So, for example, Nigeria is one of our top countries for the last few years. China is one of our top countries for the last few years. So is Turkey. So is India. So is Thailand. So is Greece. So sometimes there will be another one coming in the top 10. Sometimes there will be one falling out, but broadly speaking, it is the top 10 remain the same. So what we're trying to do now to actually address that, to address, if you wish, the change that we have seen so far in relation to the students coming from Europe, is to actually do more activities in Europe. So you could also, our alumni who are based in Europe, you could help us by contributing to activities that we're doing in your countries when it comes to actually promoting our programs, promoting CCLS. And you can do that when we are there at an event, or you can do that without us being there in the event by talking to your colleagues. I was in a country in Europe recently. I met an alumnus was a partner in a law firm, and we had an alumni event, and that partner brought another 6 associates and senior associates who were all from Queen Mary. We did not know all of them. We only had the partner in our records. So again, you can let us know who else are we missing from an alumni perspective. What other alumni do we have there which we may not actually have records of? Finally, what we are also trying to do is we're trying to expand, and that is applicable to every country. We're trying to expand our scholarship offerings. So Celia mentioned the Roy Good Scholarship and the Bursary Fund, and how your contributions in the fundraising activities will help towards that. But as a school, we're also we made a request to the university to allow us to multiply the fourfold, actually, the number of scholarships that we will be offering to every student coming from everywhere in the world. Because we want to actually maintain this diversity, but because we also recognize that we are living in difficult times for all of us, and we need to actually do what we can to help students actually come to us. Happy to expand on any other aspect, but we don't really see any trend except a drop in our European numbers.
Thank you very much, Ioannis. And we are getting to the end of our session. I am also very happy to see a colleague, Eva Micheler. I didn't know that you were a CCLS alumni, but it's wonderful to see you here.
No, I'm not. But I just thought I'll connect because I got an invitation.
Okay.
So I thought I'll connect and say hello.
Everyone is welcome.
Everybody is welcome. That can be part of the song, Every little helps and everyone is welcome. Anyway, Ioannis, the last question is in a way, you have already answered that, but if there is anything else that you want to add, how do you think alumni can play a part in shaping the future plans that we have, our ambitious future plans for CCLS and Queen Mary generally?
I think the one request I would have is for our alumni to stay in touch. To stay in touch, let us know what you're up to, let us know what you do, and come up with proposals, come up with ideas of what we can do together. If you let us know what you're up to, we can tell you how we think you may be able to contribute to us. And Celia has put the links to some of our schemes on the chat. But this cannot just be from us to you. This has to be also from you to us. We are the fact that we're all here is because we want to actually engage and work with you. So stay in touch and come back to us with ideas of how do you think you can contribute to CCLS. And this contribution can be of all types. We will wait to hear from you more ideas over and above what we have already in place on how you can actually help us. And I've already mentioned mentoring, I've mentioned the career advice, I've mentioned the fundraising. I don't want to repeat that. I just want to stress, unless we know who you are, we cannot engage with you. And unless we know what you're up to, we cannot come up with ideas of how to work with you. So please stay in touch and please spread the word, because you will know who are the alumni in your country more likely than we will be able to know for some of the alumni in your country. So if you know them, ask them to get in touch.
Thank you very much, Ioannis, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. If I can sum up the many messages that Ioannis, as new CCLS Director, gave to you, I will just get those two. Every little helps, and stay in touch. And with that, I thank also Celia and Zoe for having put the effort in organizing this, which in the end ended up being purely a virtual event. It was going to be a hybrid event. We will do more of these. We have the other one this afternoon. And as Celia was saying, the Deputy of Alumni, Francesca, will be doing the dialogue with Ioannis. And as Director of Alumni, just again, let me thank everyone, and let me thank our Director for starting the day and the morning with one issue which is very close to his heart, which is our alumni. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank